Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the People's Mirror. Two top stories today at the People's Mirror that I want to detail for you for your consumption are: number one, the ODM party dynamic and what's actually been going on in Mombasa in the past few days, that was divided in three categories. Looking at the ODM youth, the ODM general membership, and the ODM founding members. And now that those particular three cohorts of meetings are done, what has become and what will be the fate of ODM moving forward? But number two is also still tied to the same story. You remember sometimes back, there was a condition that deputy president or nothing, and that is what Honorable Oburu Odinga gave as an ultimatum to anyone who would want to woo the ODM party into a partnership ahead of the 2027 election. Now, that particular position has been responded to not directly by Ruto's camp, by Ruto himself, but by senators affiliated to Ruto, who have rejected that position that the ODM party requested of, and have said that there is nothing that they will give the ODM party to that extent, if not save for some small positions in the cabinet and other positions kwa kijiji, that also if they don't want, the Honorable Senator Cherigei, who was not really honorable in his statements, have told them wanaweza enda. This is also happening after KANU, that was also recently lured into this arrangement with President Ruto, has now faced a new resistance in its region, with a young man, 25 years of age, Honorable Samuel Letasio, becoming the talked about candidate in Baringo County to become the senator, replacing Gideon in that particular area as the most liked candidate in this particular by-election that is occurring as a result of the late honorable member of Senate of Baringo County, who has since been with the Lord. Now, let's start with the main story, and then we'll take a look at these other smaller stories later. The main story is what is going on in the ODM party. And in this branch, ladies and gentlemen, I want to divide what is going on in the ODM party in three tiers. Within the youth branch of the ODM party, the ODM leadership now needs to come from the elderly to the young. That is what the youth are looking for in that party. And every statement that they're making is, of course, seemed to be attacking the broad-based government, because that is the major bone of contention within the party. But it's also seconded with an ideal, or rather an idea, of having the youth step up to the leadership of that position. The Oburu Odinga's position have now since been contested within this youthful camp as one that was made in the heat of the moment, because the party was mourning their departed hero, and one that should not sustain the party moving forward, because now post-mourning, the party has called itself to order, and now wants the leadership of that party decided by the National Delegates Committee, and not just a handful individuals seated in the National Executive Committee. So this is how we start from the beginning. Sometimes back, the ODM party lost their principal leader, Raila Odinga. And on October 13th, because Raila had died around October 15th, on October 13th or thereabouts, leadership positions to shift this particular party from Odinga to Oburu was already underway. Before Raila was buried, within the 72-hour period that he had provided for in his will, Oburu was already installed as the acting party leader. Now, shortly after the burial of Raila Odinga, Luo leaders met in Nyanza and installed the position of Oburu Odinga now, not as an acting party leader, but as a party leader of the ODM party. The effect of this party is not only belonging to the Odinga families. The ODM party extensively belongs to a very large number of individuals cross-cutting through different counties. Narok has a base of ODM, Mombasa has a base of ODM, Nyanza has a base of ODM, and in other parts of the country, ODM is still a strong party. In Nairobi, the senator of Nairobi is under the ODM party, is currently the current Secretary General. These youthful leaders are looking at their future within the party, and they are saying that for as long as this party is left in the hands of the elderly, their future does not seem to be secure. Now, with the statements that were fiery, including the statements of Winnie Odinga, which came out as very bold, the youth are really turning their head against the ordinary system of leadership that has previously favored the elderly within this party. And now Winnie Odinga, who sits in the right position to actually question the leadership of Oburu Odinga, being Oburu Odinga's niece, and also being a direct hire and descendant of Raila Odinga, is the person that has now used this youthful voice to question the party leadership. In Mombasa, in something that turned out to be a very dire family exchange, Winnie said that the particular arrangement of broad-based government was only better managed by Raila Odinga, who in absence then leaves no one better to fill those shoes to manage that particular position. The effect of this is that now Winnie is calling upon the NDC, the general membership of the ODM party, to decide who they want to become the ODM party leader without leaving this for a few handful committee members to install Oburu Odinga as their leader. Now, at one end, you can look at this particular effect or this particular statement of Winnie as one that is deviating from Odinga's position, but another end, it's also one that calls upon the unity of the Kenyan people to actually decide who becomes the party leader so that the party can be strong. Winnie could be looking at it at one way or as one way of giving validation if it ever falls on Oburu again, but strong validation coming from the people choosing Oburu as their party leader rather than leaving it to the handful few to choose Oburu as their party leader. Another angle to it is that Winnie perhaps is really not comfortable with Oburu becoming the party leader, and so is calling upon the National Delegates Committee to leave the people make a choice on who they want to lead them in the ODM party post 2027 and beyond. So the effect of that is extensive. It's giving room to the people to decide who they want. And when the people are left to decide, that can go either way. It can be a young person being installed to replace Raila Odinga, or it can be an old person being installed to replace Raila Odinga. The ultimate effect of this is that whichever way they choose to go, the ultimate effect of it will be this. The person that will have been chosen to replace Raila Odinga will have the legitimacy of the members of the ODM party. And the effect of that is that if that person rallies or calls upon the members of the ODM party to rally behind one candidate, either in 2027 and beyond, the people will feel more willing to rally behind that person because it will be the people's choice rather than when it is a committee's choice and the committee candidate calls the individuals to rally behind one person and then people fail to show up, painting a very bad image and name for the ODM party. So that's Winnie angle. Then there's the Babuino's angle to it. And Babuino's angle to it is that whereas this particular arrangement still exists and there are elderly members of the government and elderly members of the party who are serving in government right now, when the government fails to deliver on the key principles that they agreed upon, then they will go back to the streets. So this is another youthful voice within the party that is now putting an ultimatum to the party and saying, irrespective of whatever broad-based arrangement that the older members are saying we were left under, that particular broad-based arrangement needs to be viewed against what was signed down. And if that which was signed down is not met, then the ODM young members, including Babu Owino, have now vowed to go back to the streets for the same reasons ODM has been going back to the streets. That is for fuel prices going high, food prices going high, and generally the level of living going high. So while this is happening and Winnie is also calling for rebranding of the image of the ODM from a goon-based party to a party that is based on national building, and all these other requests are coming in from the younger people to give room for leadership within the party, what are the older members of the party saying? Within the membership of the party, and not ordinary members, I'm talking of members of the party who have secured political positions. I will come back to ordinary members in a bit as we conclude this particular one. If you look at it from the point of the old members' point of view, Opio and Hassan Joe is a special case which we'll talk about separately in a minute. But Opio and the gentleman Opio and the lady Governor Gladys Wanga, Simbarati, so on, Oburu themselves, the conversation or rather the approach, Junet, is a frustrated one. They want to consolidate the ODM party under the doctrines of the old that they have been working under. And they want to stamp this as if their voice is the final rubber stamp on what ODM should do. And the younger generation is not having any of it. So it's going down to an ODM that is going to be divided between the senior members who are already benefiting from positions in government and the younger members who needs a vibrant party based on resistance, and not a party that is made out of boardroom talks and bedroom talks. A party that is made out of resistance, and a party that they still want to hold on and rally behind because it's the only party that resonates with the name Raila Odinga moving forward even beyond 2027. Then there is the general members of ODM party, the people who actually vote. The people whose convictions are so strong that even after the death of Raila Odinga, they have still showed up in thousands in Mombasa to celebrate actually the 20 years of this particular party. For these individuals, they want solid leadership. They want someone that they can follow and someone that is bold. But most likely, they want someone that has come from them as a result of their choice of that individual and not someone imposed upon them.